We're back again on Lutherans Alive with Beth Caywood, newly called Director to the Synod Resource Center for the Southwestern Pennsylvania Synod. Beth, thanks for taking the time to come in and talk with us today. As we ended the first segment, we were just talking a bit about the time and effort that has gone into the development and the planning of a new resource center. And we want to devote some time to acknowledging folks that have been willing to devote time, energy, resources, finances to help bring this to be a reality.
Well, even at this very early date, I could whip out a list a mile long because there are many, many folks that have been instrumental in getting us to this point, and certainly there will be far more who come along. This is not my ministry. We do have an advisory board of pastors and lay leaders who are helpful in exactly that capacity as we move forward, setting policy and figuring out what would best work in our space. There have been numerous folks that have volunteered their time, their money, their resources as far as actually getting the space up to speed, and I know we'll have lots more work for others who'd like to share those gifts. I've also talked with folks who would like to volunteer in the center, and we'll certainly have tasks for volunteers as we grow. And one was working with our catalog. As we go through our resources and get them all organized and divided into different categories and subcategories, they will be put into a software program that is made especially for this kind of situation, and folks will be able to go online, go to our Synod website, hit a link, and they can browse through our catalog online. So while you have the opportunity to do that, you can still call or email, whatever. We'll, you can send a carrier pigeon. We'll go out and grab one of those too, but try to appeal to all levels.
Yeah, well, I would suspect with the way computers are being used these days, and the surfing that folks do and the browsing, that will certainly be a well appreciated means to get in touch with what's available. It is important for those who are still used to the hands-on approach to be able to actually get a feel in their hands for what they're going to be using, what it will look like, and to get a real feeling for how it will play out in their situation. The other thing that I like about it, I think I'm hearing you correctly, is that not everyone in every congregation will have to bring everything they have to the resource center so that it can be stored there. But that the opportunity for networking and to be able to be a referral service saves you from a lot of that moving material.
There have been a number of congregations that have either offered for us to actually choose some things from their church libraries or such, or again, have them cataloged and available at their site, which again, it increases that sharing and networking, and it also increases the inventory of items that people have to choose from without a great expense to anyone.
In the early times with the Resource Center, what kinds of interest are you receiving most, would you say?
It's been across the board. This morning I just had a phone call about some Advent Christmas planning. We've also talked with people about Sunday school curriculums. I had a call a couple weeks ago about an adult Bible study. She was a little frustrated because she had gone online to the company that she wanted to purchase from, but could only see the cover. And she said, that's not helping me. I said, well, you don't think the cover's worth that much? So I was able to guide her through some of the opportunities there. So it's been a little bit of everything. I think right now people are trying to figure out exactly what is a resource center and how could it be useful to me. And I think as people begin to explore what we have there online as well as in the housed on the site, they'll be able to understand more and more how it can be of help to them. I think probably the easiest way in a generic sort of terming would be a lending library, because people are familiar with how their local library works, and it's going to be very, very much similar to that. But the added piece is being able to have things that people can take right there, as I talked about with the open files and sharing different ideas and creative energies in the congregation, as well as having the brand new items from different publishers available for them to look at. And then not to discount our people, because that, again, as the bishop says, we have everything we need in the Synod, and we do. As people share with me some of their gifts and abilities, I'm able to link folks up with each other. And just being able to have that communication go both ways instantly makes some connections for people that they never would have in another setting.
It reminds me kind of the early experiences of going to the library. You know, you have this idea that a library is books on a shelf that you can pick one off and read. And when you actually become acquainted with the library, you realize that there's an awful lot more potential there
Absolutely.
than just the book on the shelf, which is that first thought that you have.
Right. Well, and curriculum and different items, books in general are expensive, no matter how you go about acquiring them, and this is a way to save some money, and if you are purchasing, to know what you're purchasing in advance. So,
in terms of what folks are going to see for things that they can bring into their own congregation and use, will there be time limits on how long they'll be allowed to have them, or how do you keep track of things once
we have
you
our
begin
ways.
to-
Yes, part of this system that the software we have, will keep track of that, yeah, and a little reminder will come up that somebody's due. What we've established at this point is the lending period will be 3 weeks. We know where they live now. Obviously, we're not going to, be chasing after folks in that sense if they're a day or two behind. But if folks do lose or damage the material, we would certainly expect that they would either pay for the materials or purchase another set of something, because if we're constantly replacing things, then we're not going to be able to provide some of the newer items that people would like to have.
Speaking of the newer items, I guess that puts an onus on you to know what's new, to be in touch with what publishers are putting out there, what materials are coming available that haven't been there before. Is that a bit of a challenge?
Yes and no. I mean, again, it's something that I enjoy doing, but remember, this isn't just about me. We have our advisory board, and there are 7 people on that, plus the bishop.
Okay.
We also have all our synod committees that I would certainly hope would be able to relate to the resource center, as well as all the leaders and folks in congregations. I'm there Mondays through Thursdays, 9:30 to 3:30, and evenings and weekends by appointment. So, and there's always email and that way to keep in touch. So I would hope that people would share any ideas they have. We will be looking for additional folks to review curriculum and materials, because again, as things come in, you can only read so many pages at a time. And sometimes you can't get through. I know we laughed when all the new Bibles came in from Augsburg Fortress. Well, you can't sit and go through every single little page of the Bible. So, yeah.
Well, it is time to take another break for today's program, but we'll be back, and we hope you'll stay with us, viewers.